when you've been doing a process, when you've been doing a program, because it's actually when people. The thing is that people aren't looking at the whole bigger picture process. What they're doing is starting with a starting strength novice linear progression, which applies universally when you haven't gone through the process of driving an aggressive strength adaptation, which is what starting strength does. So if you've never done that, regardless of your goals, regardless of where you're starting, and regardless of who you are, that is the program you're going to do. So people apply that same logic to post-novice training, and they think that there is a single program or an optimal program that you can plug and play just like you can with the starting strength novice linear progression. So the question that they ask is, this isn't working anymore, so what's the next program? Not realizing that the fundamental aspect of the program, which is the process of increasing the weight on the bar on the 4 main lifts, which therefore makes you stronger, is a continual and lifelong process, and there's no need to change that process, only to modify it. So like Rick described, what you do is you make small changes, and then your program turns into what would be considered a intermediate or advanced program over time.
Right.
But people don't understand that until you explain it to them or you show them how it works. So they apply this kind of templated approach of just buying a template or opening up practical programming and finding the next program that they think looks cool. And then shit just unravels very quickly because you're interrupting the really effective process that you've started. So that's the problem. It's just not knowing.
Another part of the problem is that there are lots and lots of people around who would love to just sell you a template.
Well, no.
And if you don't have the ability to understand how the details of that template have to be altered to apply to your situation, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work.
I think that the other aspect, because there's the technical aspect is kind of what we've been describing, but there's another aspect, which is the trainee and the lifter, the person involved in this process, and the end of the novice linear progression is hellish. So there's an appealing aspect to doing something else that looks more fun, usually involving something like a cut plus hypertrophy, which are both meaningless things. And doing something that's easier. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. Like, if you want to keep working hard, you'll figure out the best way to do it. If you want to be distracted by something that's easier and more quote-unquote fun, it's very easy to do that too.
Yeah, just go have fun.
Yep.
Yeah, when Stormy ran...
we're training, we're not having fun here.
Yeah, when Stormy was running her NLP after she gave birth, she said the end of that LP was, like you said, hellish. Every single day she'd go in there and she says, I'm not going to be able to put 5 more pounds on the bar. And she would. Yeah. And she did that for like 4 or 5 more weeks.
Yeah.
And
it's
and we had to, and we slowly changed it, very slowly. Okay, her press started going out. Okay, we got to change the press, but her squat's not going out, so we don't change that. And it's a slow process. And then now she's more in advanced training right now.
Yeah, it really is. So we've got in the gray book, we have a novice, intermediate, and advanced chapter. Just the way you have to organize a book may imply that there are hard road marks, milestones between those those levels of programming, but it's a gradual shift from one to the other.
At least that's the intelligent way to do it, right? Yeah. But look, that's how strength training's been done since the beginning of time. It's like, give me a program. Mm-hmm. Right. Back in the old days, the coach would mail you a program, right?
Yes.
And you just do the program. So that's how it's always been done, but that's not the best way to do it.
We talked about this all the time. I used to pick a magazine up when I was 18, 19 and go, oh, there's a program. I'll run that for 4 weeks. And that's how I did it.
Yeah. And that's the way everybody's started. Mm-hmm. That's the way everybody does it,
Right.
Unless you start off with the blue book.
Yeah. So if you just focus on some very basic principles, meaning that you understand that the best way to get stronger is to continue to improve your performance on the squat, the bench, the press, and the deadlift, and you make those go up as often as possible. And as a novice, you do it every workout. As an intermediate, you do it about every week. And then it just goes from there. So every other week, then every third week, then every fourth week. And most people settle in after years of training at about 6 to 8 weeks. That's great, right? So if you can keep those 2 objectives in mind, then the programming question gets a little more simple. What do I have to do to make those things happen? So one thing that you were implying is the individuality, the individual nature of programming after the novice linear progression. And just to be clear, coming out of novice, it's still not that complicated. Most people's early intermediate programs are going to look pretty much exactly the same. So it's you just have one lever, maybe two levers, maybe frequency and volume to start manipulating. When you're a novice, you're only manipulating intensity, right? So it's not that complicated. It'll get complicated eventually, but people are just consuming too much information and not thinking clearly.
But that complication comes on so slowly that it's really not that complicated by the time you get there, because everything was
in
implemented.
practice. Right.
Yeah. It's very slowly. It changes, and you look at it, and somebody who doesn't know the process would go, "Oh, that's complicated." But you look back 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, and see that slow progression, and then it wasn't that complicated.
Right.
Join us again this week on Starting Strength Radio. Our favorite call-in Q&A, where you call us and ask us questions, and we talk to you and give you the answers, and then you talk back to us and tell us why we're wrong, and we talk back to you and tell you why we're right. It's one of these kind of things. Next week, right here, Starting Strength Radio.